Today we have a food creator with an amazing amount of tips. We're gonna be talking about how she comes up with ideas, how she decides which restaurants to go, and how she monetizes. If you're planning to create food content, this interview is for you. Let's go. All right, Dana, happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Tell us how your passion for food started and when you decided to turn it into content.
So I think it was more of a natural progression of me being that person with my family and my friend groups who has my finger on the pulse. And that relates to food, to things to do, to travel. Hey, where should I go for my birthday? Or do you have any ideas of a private chef and things of that nature? So yes, I love food, but I think it was more that I like to be a resource for things to do and things that I know if I enjoy, my friends and my family will also enjoy. So it started very organically. I was at a job that was a failing startup and I had a lot of time on my hands. So I started by writing Yelp reviews. I wrote so many Yelp reviews.
Interesting.
I got invited to be part of the Yelp Elite group and I was attending different events, taking photos, and that was really my first experience with the good life and going to restaurants and getting, freebies and incentives. And then from there, it naturally progressed into content when people weren't even calling it content. Everyone was saying blogging. And there was some blogging, but it was mostly taking pictures of my food, posting on Instagram, throwing up one static, photo of food and calling it a day. So
yeah, you started when Instagram was only photos, right?
Yeah, only photos, very little editing.
With
definitely
the cringy frames and the things.
Yeah, the terrible filters. It was a lot easier at that time because it would be Tuesday and I would realize that I hadn't posted in days and I would scroll through my phone and say, oh, I never posted that burger. I'll post that burger today just to stay relevant. And now, as you know, content is a much larger beast. It requires a bunch of editing and video.
Skills, yeah.
Yeah, you just kind of evolve with the platform and teach yourself how to do it.
And since you were a kid, I guess you were the type of kid that really liked food. Like you were like your parents like, hey, let's go to McDonald's. No, I'm not at McDonald's. I want a proper meal.
No, I was not. I was basic. I was fine with like peanut butter and jelly or chicken nuggets or whatever. Right. Like my mom would cook and we would have family dinner at home and we would go to like normal restaurants. So I was not one of those kids who was, asking for sushi and like fancy things. I didn't even try sushi properly till I was, an adult, a teenager. So it took me time to evolve my palate.
All right, Dana, everybody sees you and they think like this girl is a full-time food creator, but
yes.
We know that a lot of content creators, they have a second, not a second job, a primary job, and they do this as a hobby, but what do you actually do for a living?
Yeah, I would say it's a big misconception. A lot of people just assume I run around taking content all day and going out to eat. I've always worked full-time, and this has always been a really important part of my career, but it is secondary. So my background is working for PR and marketing agencies, very corporate, and 4 years ago, I went out on my own and started my own consulting firm. So I work with a lot of restaurants and hospitality companies and basically brands that I love and that I'm a consumer of so that I can help them with their influencer strategy, with their social media, with PR, events. So there's definitely a big synergy between what I do with Miami Food Porn and what I do with my consulting firm. But I look at the two separately and I think they both fuel and support each other.
Amazing. Because actually you're a better PR firm for them because you actually know both worlds inside out.
Exactly. It's cool to be able to wear both hats and tell my client, don't send that mailer. It's going to be a waste of resources and time and money. They're going to take one photo of it and trash it. Or, I actually got a really good pitch in my inbox that I think we can learn from. So I get to wear the brand hat. I get to wear the creator hat and give helpful insights to my clients because I live it every day.
I'm really curious on how do you decided your name? Because Dana is Miami Food Porn.
Yes.
So what food porn means to you?
So I actually had a partner who I used to do all of the content with, and I can't even take credit for the name. That was all her. I love it. And I think it's so cool because at the time, food porn wasn't like the universal term that it is today. Funny little anecdote. My parents had never heard of it. They thought I like created the term food porn. No, we just happened to snag the handle, which was great. And now food porn is such, a phenomenon and everybody uses it. So it just worked. We were early to the game. We were doing it before a lot of people were doing it. And yeah.
In which moment you realized that this was more than a passion and could turn it into a business?
We started getting a bunch of opportunities, of course, to come out and dine. But the first paid opportunity, I think it was actually with Good Humor Ice Cream, if I remember. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, we didn't know how to charge. We didn't know how to handle it. But it opened my eyes to, this is one of those things that you feed the beast. You get out what you put in. So the more I created content, the more I posted, the more consistent, started to get more paid opportunities. And that was never my driving force behind it. This was never intended
It started
to be
as
my
a hobby.
Yeah. This was never intended to be my career, but knowing that you can also monetize it kind of justifies all the work that goes into it.
It's a crazy amount of work. Like people say, no, this is really easy. No, it's a lot. We're going to talk about that. So there's an interesting question that I have, that has creating content or food content has changed the way you relate to food.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, this is going to come off as negative, but it sort of ruins the fun of going out to eat because I'm always taking photos. So I try to separate it, or at least create boundaries for myself, where if I'm going out to do content, I want to do it starting Thursday. Earlier in the week, I know myself, I work long days. At the end of the day, going out to a meal and bringing my light, doing the whole photos feels like a chore versus something that I get to do. So if I do it Thursday and plan these meals during the weekends, I get to mix business and pleasure and bring friends and bring people who enjoy it and have a drink and make it something that I'm having fun doing, but also coupling that with work. It's also something that it's hard to turn off. So how does it impact my relationship with food? It's really hard for me to go to a meal and not take a photo. It's second nature, which is okay. It's kind of like my worlds have just melded into this mix of work and play, like I said. But yeah, very often I'm just on the job, even if I'm not on the job.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
I live the same problem. What's your favorite meal of the day? Is it breakfast, lunch, or dinner? What's your brunch?
Brunch. I mean, obviously that's a weekend thing, but I would 10 out of 10 rather go to a fun brunch than go to a dinner because it kind of sets the tone for the day. It's usually beautiful out. You're sitting outside. You're having a drink. You're not on anyone's schedule but your own. At the end of a dinner, I'm like full and tired. At the end of the brunch, you're excited for your day.
Yeah, and it's done. And there's so many things to come.
Exactly.
How do you decide which restaurants to work with or to go? And how do you plan on what are the takes that you're going to shoot of each restaurant?
Yeah, it's a great question because there's just so much volume and there's so many places that either A, I want to try, or B, I want to support, but it's impossible unless you want to eat out every day, all day, which I do not. So there's kind of two buckets of how I make these decisions. One is, do I actually want to try that place? Like, does it sound delicious? Is it convenient? Is it a hassle? Is it down the street? Is it a cuisine that I love? So, if it checks the box for me, I'll probably prioritize it. The second is it a business opportunity? Is this going to be something that could turn into a partnership that makes sense for me, or be something that I can monetize and support this business and I'm also getting supported? Otherwise, if it's not checking either of those boxes, I can't prioritize places just because I feel bad or because, oh man, they've sent me 4 emails and I don't know what else to say. So I have become a little bit more selfish in how I spend my time on content because I have to protect my boundaries as well.
Now that you're mentioning that, like the behind the scenes, what people don't see, like you're a super healthy eater in your home.
I am, yeah. I choose my indulgences wisely. And if I'm staying home, I'm either cooking or eating Carrot Express or eating Sweet Green or, snacking on carrots and hummus or having a protein bar or smoothie because A, I enjoy it, and B, there has to be balance with me going out. I don't need to be ordering in, junk food because I get a lot of indulgent meals out that are much more worth it for me.
How many times do you go out for shooting content a week?
Maybe 2 or 3. Depending. Some weeks are super heavy. My goal would be 2 or 3, and those 2 or 3 would start Thursday and go through the weekend. So maybe it's a dinner and a brunch, or a dinner or brunch and I go to a coffee shop. So otherwise I think I'm not the norm. I think most content creators are going out every day, but this is not my full-time job. So I don't want to burn out and I don't want to hate it.
Yeah.
So that keeps me in like a good, healthy place where I'm feeding the beast. I'm getting content that I need without overdoing it.
What's your process on giving an honest review?
So I have always operated on the assumption if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything. Usually my experiences are positive, and if they're not all positive, I can find something positive. So for example, I went on a cruise a while ago, years ago. Wasn't the nicest cruise, wasn't the best cruise, but I'm like, this is a cruise. For so many people, this is wonderful. You don't have to take out your wallet. You get soft serve all day. So I'm I'm focusing on the views and the ice cream and the relaxation versus the steak dinner, which is not impressive. So I really do try to highlight the positive, and it's not to show something that's skewed or not honest. It's just my idea of good is different from your idea of good. And if I really do have a bad experience, which has happened, few and far between, I will call and talk to the PR person and tell them why I can't promote
I
it.
cannot post this.
Yeah. I'm not going to do a bad review. I just won't say anything.
Yeah, because everybody has a bad day. And
yeah, it's just not fair. These are business owners, and I'm not here to trash anyone, but I won't promote something that's not good.
How do you make sure your videos are always appealing and they have the right picture and the right set?
Lighting's really important. I'm at a disadvantage where a lot of the meals that I go to are at night, so I have to bring a light. I always bring a light. I wouldn't go out to dinner without it. It would totally screw up my plan. So lighting really helps. If I can get content during the day with, natural light at a brunch, for example, wonderful. Cleaning my lens, always having a clean lens, taking tons of angles and tons of shots more than I'm gonna need, because sometimes my hand is shaky, or maybe there was a smudge or a fly went by. So overshooting just so that you have the ability to cut and use the best clips. And usually that'll do the trick.
How long would you say it takes you from start to finish creating a video of one place?
Totally depends. I would say at a minimum 30 minutes. If there's no voiceover, if I'm doing a quick edit, if I really want to crank it out. But it could take an hour and a half probably even longer. The thing is, it's hard for me to say because I always break it up in chunks. I'm not sitting down and doing a video from start to finish. I'll lay, maybe TV's on, I'm favoriting the clips I like. Then later I'll go back, and I find that it makes it more enjoyable for me to do the process this way, because then I'm not like, oh my God, I just spent 2 hours editing this one video. I'm going cross-eyed. If you're doing a voiceover, that's the time-consuming part, because you have to sit and write a script and then see if it times out well with the video, and then cut and then record, and then I realize I don't sound good, or a chime went off on my computer and I have to do it again, and then you have to find the song. So I probably undershot with my answer of an hour and a half. Just depends.
Now that you're mentioning the voice off,
yeah,
do you do first the voice, or you do first the video and then try to sync it
No, the
with
video. The video first and then the voiceover.
Do you plan your content in advance, like the script, or do you just go and you have like a special framework? Like I always show the entrance of the place and then the food and then like a final comments on it?
I really don't have a format because I think it's so dependent on the where.
On the experience.
On the experience, yeah. So if I'm traveling and promoting a resort, that might look entirely different than if I'm just going to a meal. Or maybe I'm going to a destination and I'm showing you my 3 favorite places. So it really depends, and it's nuanced. I also think it's important to mix it up. So I actually need to be doing more of that. I think we all get into a rhythm and it's what we're used to and what we're comfortable with. But as the platform evolves, we should evolve. There was a point in time where if you told me I was going to be doing videos and voiceovers, I would have laughed in your face, but I had to do it. I never thought I would get on TikTok. I had to do it. So, maybe at one point I will do much more than just food and just restaurants. And I'm trying to do a little bit more of that already. So I think we need to stay nimble and open-minded about the format. So yeah.
I usually think that you have to live the experience.
Yeah.
And once you get the experience, then you decide, okay, I'm going to do this or
right.
that. And actually doing voiceover, it's actually easier to change the narrative of what's happening. So I'm going to put this thing first and then the other part. Is there a type of content that works best for you? Like, let's say either a single restaurant review or maybe like top 3 places in Miami, or another type of format that I'm not mentioning?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty inconsistent. I'm constantly surprised by what works and what doesn't work. If I had more time to dedicate to content, I would do more roundup styles like you're mentioning. My top 5 omakases, and I would break it down and show you price points. The thing is, that just requires so much more digging around for my content, and it's tougher. And a lot of my content, and I'm not proud of it, is reactive. X restaurant invites me in, I go to that restaurant, I know that I'm supposed to deliver X content. If I had a little bit more free reign, I would do things differently. I would do things creatively. I would maybe say, my top brunch, my top date night spot, my top cocktail bar, and I would really like storyboard out what I want to do. And that's how I would prepare or recommend preparing content for clients, but I don't necessarily practice what I preach.
So regarding to helping other creators with your experience and advice, this is a 2-part question.
Okay.
All right. So let's say tools, offline tools, and regarding camera, phone, lighting. What do you use?
I use my phone.
It's an iPhone?
Yeah,
Android?
an iPhone. Right. iPhone 15. I used to use a camera occasionally. I thought in order to elevate my content, in order to be taken seriously, to get paid, I really should have better equipment than just showing up with my phone. I even invested in a lens. I took a lesson or two. I really tried. I'm not a photographer. And I realized buying a camera doesn't make you a photographer. It was much more of a burden for me to have that equipment and not know how to use it properly. And the iPhone is amazing.
Yeah.
So,
and instead of 1 hour editing with the camera, it's like 2 days.
yeah, it's days, it's transferring things, it's a whole, it's more things to charge, it's more things in my bag. So I recently sold that camera because I don't need it. I don't use it. The iPhone is amazing if you know how to use it properly, which is pretty simple. It's just getting comfortable. So I don't think you need fancy equipment to create nice content.
And what type of light do you have? Is it a fancy light?
No, it's an Amazon. It's just an Amazon light. It's probably $40 and it's amazing.
Regarding editing, what do you use? Do you edit on on socials?
I edit on my phone in InShot, which is free.
You pay for it.
It's free.
I used to pay the free version.
Free. Essentially what we're saying is you can be a content creator without spending money.
Yeah. Besides the phone, it's like
right.
a $50, $100 setup. Like,
exactly.
Amazing. You do mostly voiceover videos. I haven't seen you like talking to camera a lot. And why is that?
Probably two reasons. One, I feel like it would make the edit more challenging. And maybe you have tips for me on this, but I think if I speak to the camera, then later when I try to chop it up, it's going to be all convoluted. And two, I think it's awkward.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because I'm a very outgoing person and I'm sociable and all of that, but I think talking to the camera would make me like give myself the ick.
I like to do like a mix of
yeah.
it because there's some things like the intro of a restaurant, like you can do it outside, let's say.
Yeah.
And that part or the hook, I really like to do it with my voice. And I think people relate a lot to that.
Yeah.
And then they want to see the food. So that part you can do it with voiceover.
No, I think that's a good point and something that I probably don't see because I'm so tunnel vision about what I'm doing. But I think it's a good point. And just the intro or just the outro or a quick something is totally usable and doable.
Amazing. I want to see that.
I will do it.
Let's see. When this video is out, it's going to be like in 3 weeks or so. We probably see a change of content in data. Hey guys, just a quick break. If you want to learn what works and what doesn't in your content, you can test your videos and get real feedback from other creators on Growith. Download the app today and start improving. The link is in the description. Now, let's get back to the video. This is something that happens to me and I think it happens a lot to you. So when you go to places, obviously, first you go with somebody, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you, like your friends, they're like on a wait list, like, hey Dana, it's my turn. And with those friends that are on the wait list, like I see that some of them, they record you. So you're thinking like, I should take this person, but the other one films better and knows how content works?
Good question. So I would say there's some criteria to be a +1. First, you need to be an open-minded eater. I can't be having like dairy-free, gluten-free, don't like sushi, vegetarian. Typically doesn't work for me.
Or people who change dishes, like, no, can you take this out? And you're like,
it's
what?
Like, no.
Get out of here.
Right. 2, you just have to get it. You have to understand what we're here to do. I might need a hand here or there. I am pretty self-sufficient, so I don't need too much, but you have to kind of be open. You have to understand the assignment. And yeah, there's a little bit of getting in the action and understanding how to take a decent video. It's a combination of factors. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's also some friends that please Dana, take me with you, take me with you. And when they're there, they go completely impatient, like, for real? We need to wait all this time for it?
Yeah, I think by now they're all pretty well trained and they all know. And it's really funny because they'll even be like, wait, do you need to take a picture of that before I start? So I think most of them have figured it out.
Yeah, the first rule is like, hey, everything that comes to the table, wait.
For sure.
You cannot go in deep. All right, let's talk about how do you build trust with your audience?
Good question. I think I just try to be a resource as much as possible and to be myself. When I first started, I felt very uncomfortable sharing anything that had nothing to do with food. My morning walk around Brickell Key when I was living in Brickell at the time, my exercise class, things that didn't have to do with food, I was like, this feels like a no-no. But I didn't even show my face for the first couple of years, probably. Wow. And I had no intention of doing so. It wasn't about me. It was like, I'm behind the camera, I'm going to show you this burger. But I think the more that I slowly started to show that like there's a human being behind here, and I want to show you my work, and I want to show you my day to day, and I want to show you this smoothie that I just purchased and has nothing to do with anything, but this is my life.
Yeah, and she's a normal person like me.
Or my travels or whatever. I feel like people started to relate a little bit more because they can see that it's a human behind it.
Yeah, totally.
And the reason that I started to evolve and show a little bit more is because now everyone is a blogger, right? Everyone and their mom is a content creator. So if I don't show you that there's a real person here, then why are you going to follow me versus someone else who's cranking out content daily and maybe doing a lot more than I am?
Right now, in which platforms are you in?
I pretty much only actively use Instagram, but another takeaway and homework for myself from this conversation is I need to give more life to my TikTok because I actually have a much stronger following on TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
That's curious. A lot of creators that we've been talking, it's like, yeah, I focus on Instagram, but I'm bigger on TikTok.
I built this following during the pandemic. It really blew up. I have over 300,000 and I don't put anything into it. I think I just need to give myself the homework of post 3 TikToks a week. Don't overthink it. And I've never overthought TikTok, which is why it kind of works. I have a good clip, I throw a sound on, and you see what happens. It's like a non-committal platform for me, but I'm sitting on an audience that I should be leveraging.
And YouTube Shorts, you haven't got into that?
I should.
You think of Instagram and then it's reusing content on TikTok, or you do something different for
different. So it's a lot less orchestrated. It might be like one unedited clip that I just find a good audio or put POV in front of or whatever it may be and see if it works.
Interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they just reuse. So we can say you repurpose.
Yeah.
Well, there's homework to do.
Yeah.
You already did all the work. You already went there or filmed everything. So why not?
It's true.
How do you handle negative comments, let's say? That's a thing for a lot of creators. You see them and you go back and like I don't want to see something. Does it affect you somehow? Do you respond to them?
This sort of goes against what I just said about building trust and opening up my world. But I'll be honest. I think that I'm very selective about what I share and I don't open myself up to a lot of criticism. It's like I can post this video of food and you can say this restaurant sucks and you can write that comment if you want to show hate. But I personally don't get a lot of that because food is not a polarizing category.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about politics. I'm not talking about things that I think are going to poke the bear because I don't care to. And I just think it's a volatile space out there. I'll get a couple things. Like the other day, someone commented on my post with like a meme and it was like, no one cares. And I responded, I said, so why are you here? Because it was just like, to me, it was funny. You wanna play this game, we'll play. But typically I don't get hate, which is great.
And they actually help the video to
yeah,
boost,
that's fine.
So please.
Yeah, give me more.
Are they places that you go because of your followers? Like your followers say, hey, I saw this place, but there's another one like this in the middle of nowhere?
Not enough. But the one time that it really does impact me is when I'm traveling. So I was just, as you know, in Argentina for a month capturing content and going to new restaurants. And it's cool to see that my community is excited for me or they're excited because they've been or they're from there and they'll be like, you have to go here or this coffee shop is amazing. And because I'm not as well versed, I'm like, of course. And I'm building a list based on followers' recommendations, which is very full circle.
And that's amazing because like you have like not one guide or one person that is here are the tips, but you get like a crazy amount of people and from all over. So now that you mentioned this, how would you describe your demographics of audience?
Probably similar to my general age group, people who like what I like. I would say people in their 30s for the most part, but it's a total mix because like I said, it's food. So
and mainly is USA or
mainly USA, but like I said, I've done a good deal of traveling. So I do pick up followers in different places when I do those things.
And your second and third countries, who would you say they are?
I would need to check. Good question.
All right, let's talk about monetization. A lot of people wanna know. Which would you say are your main channels? Like is it Instagram or TikTok or
Instagram. I mean, that's where I'm putting the most effort. And even though I have a larger following on TikTok, I don't even really feel comfortable charging on that platform the way that I do on Instagram because I'm not putting my love and energy into it in the same way. And to me, it's more unpredictable. Yes, Instagram is unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen with the algorithm when you post something. But because TikTok isn't getting the love from me that it should be, I don't like lean towards selling a post on TikTok, whereas Instagram I do.
When you do paid collaborations, let's say, normally who's the one that that approaches? The restaurant, PR firm?
Usually a PR firm, the ones that actually have budgets. It's usually not coming direct. I do get some outreach from restaurants that say, hey, what are your rates? But it's much more informal. It's usually in the form of a DM from the owner. And those conversations don't always lead to an actual deal because I think that it doesn't always make sense with the budgets that they have and the work that I know is going to go into it.
Do you get also brand deals like from food companies?
Yeah.
Not only restaurants, but
yeah, and actually more so than restaurants. So I'm working with a beer brand and I've been working with them for the past year. I've worked with airlines. I've worked with the Bright Line. So I think that brands and services are actually the ones that take this stuff more seriously and have an actual strategy behind influencer partnerships. So definitely recommend for any creators who are looking to make money off of what they're doing, you're going to have more luck with brands versus one-off restaurants.
yeah, and they're more structured.
Yeah.
The marketing team knows what they're doing.
Exactly.
And they feel like it's normal to
Yeah.
get paid collaborations. Have you thought of expanding to other monetization methods or ways? Let's say a cookbook, a guide, come with me to eat, or other type of deals?
So definitely not a cookbook because I'm not a chef, but I think that I've done some events that are a good way to make money. Events are another area. TikTok Shop is something I should probably be leveraging more, which goes back to the theme of giving more love to TikTok. But it's pretty straightforward doing posts. It almost works like an advertisement. So a lot of people say, I don't get it. How does it work? Same as a billboard, same as a digital ad. You know, you negotiate either a series of posts or one-offs and get paid that way. There probably are other avenues I should be exploring, but it's primarily that.
Tell us about what would be your dream brand to work with. Have you already worked with them?
No.
Is it something that you have like, hey, one day I want to really work with these guys?
Good question. And I should have a better answer. The brand that comes to my brain and a brand that I've always just like loved and respected is Arizona iced tea. I think their branding's really cool. I love the fact that they have committed to keeping their cans 99 cents. And the CEO has said it for years. He's like, as long as I'm, able to, I'm going to keep this can 99 cents. We're doing just fine as a company. And I really respect that.
Well, Arizona, what's your key metric when you're doing a paid collaboration, let's say? What's the thing that you're focusing on to say, okay, this was a really good deal or a balanced deal that I did what I wanted and the brand is happy with the outcome?
I usually just ask for feedback. I say, I hope the team is happy. I try to over deliver on whatever I agreed to. So if I said 3 stories, I'll probably do 5. And I will probably, when I'm sharing insights, also send you great DMs that I got that they would never see. So it's like, I'm going to scratch your back. You're going to scratch mine. I think the best partnerships lead to more partnerships with that brand. A lot of companies, because it's such a big investment, are inclined to do a one-off deal. But with the amount of content out there, it's so difficult to see the return on a one-off deal. So to me, a metric of success would be them coming back and saying, great, let's do more posts together.
Yeah, totally. That's actually
Yeah.
true. Let's say that everything goes sideways. And you got a paid collaboration, got a contract. That has happened to you, and if it does, what do you do about it? Like you do a second reel or something?
I would offer to do another post because I feel like all success is based on relationships. 100%. So if they walk away from this feeling like they didn't get what they wanted, we both lose. If I am able to put a good taste in their mouth after a rocky start and say, you know what? I know that wasn't what we had all hoped for. We're going to do this. I'm going to add this. I'll do an extra story set. I'll give you all my content, whatever. Try to find a way to make it right. Then you're solidifying a relationship and like a level of respect that I think goes a long way.
Yeah, totally. It's better always to build a long-lasting relationship. So regarding this, do you try to get like long-lasting deals? Like this is to recommend other creators. Like, is it better? Of course it's better, but like, do you try to, let's say, okay, I'm going to work with you. Maybe I charge a little less, but let's do this a 3-month, a 6-month, 12-month.
Yeah, I think whenever possible, it's a good idea to structure deals where they can see the benefit of a long-term relationship. So if a post costs X, well, 3 posts costs X / like discount because, and I don't want to use the word discount, but incentivize them to see the value in going for 3 versus 1 and maybe show them an example of another partnership that you've done that way. Because then you're back to the drawing board. You did that one post, you made a check, and then you're hustling again. So I think when you can, try to show them why they would want to do 3 or 6 months with you.
Regarding growth, what are the biggest lessons you've learned?
It's a slow journey and you need to be patient and it will ebb and flow. I've gone up and down. Because this is not my full-time job, I maybe have the luxury of not stressing it as much as others, but stressing it isn't going to help because people are going to do what they want to do. If things aren't working, try other things. If you're not posting enough, post a little more, feel it out, look for patterns, and try to be consistent.
Yeah, consistency is key. Definitely.
Yeah.
Do you see the competition in the foodie niche like oversaturating, or is it something that motivates you to do more?
Both. I think it's overwhelming how many people have popped up out of nowhere and who are now doing food content. But it also really impresses me what other people are doing and it makes me want to do better. It makes me want to crank out more. Gives me ideas of maybe how I should mix it up my content. So I think there's space for everybody, but you need to set yourself apart more than ever because there's so many people in the space now.
What mistakes did you did on your early days that you will warn other creators not to do?
Oh, this is a funny one. So I was about to hit 100,000 followers. And I remember at the time I was working for a corporate agency and I was running around the office. I was at like 9,995. And I was like, I'm so close. I want to hit 10,000, running around, asking everyone to follow. So excited. I hit it. Immediately posted. Thank you so much. I'm so happy, like grateful for all of you guys. And minutes later, I was down again to like 9,997. So wait a minute before celebrating your milestones because that could happen to you.
What has been the most memorable experience you've got thanks to content?
A lot of travel opportunities, but one that stands out for me and just goes to the power of relationships and networking and saying yes to things that make sense. I met somebody from the tourism board in Italy at the South Beach Wine and Food Festival maybe 5-6 years ago. They said, oh, stop by our booth, try our balsamic vinegar. Anyone else probably would have said, waste my time, they don't have money, whatever. I stopped by, we had a 5-minute interaction. It was nice. We exchanged information. The next week, they invited me on a media trip to Italy to see where balsamic vinegar is made, to learn the whole process. And I went on this incredible trip. And it's just something that I wouldn't say I worked for it, but I allowed for a relationship to be formed that then led to this really amazing opportunity. So sometimes going to that event that feels like a drag at the time might be worth it. Work the room, talk to the right people. It sometimes comes back around.
And we could say that creators should say more yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to say more no, but I think in general, saying yes strategically is a good thing. Yeah. Just because the brand doesn't immediately open their wallet, just because the restaurant isn't inviting you right away, say yes to things looking ahead and saying, what could this do for me in the future?
How will you see your content and yourself evolving in the next years? What do you think it's going to happen?
I would like to move a little bit away from food exclusively and show more of my experiences because I live an interesting life. I don't really show a fraction of what I do beyond food content. And I think I'm doing myself a disservice by putting myself in that box. You know, whether it's travel or exercise or things with my friends and family or just like day-to-day resources. I've been in Miami since I was 3. So I have a lot more to share that I think would be helpful and interesting to people beyond restaurants. So my ideal scenario would be to mix it up a little, shake it up, just know that people may or may not respond right away, but I have more to show.
Amazing. Yeah, I think that's going to connect really well with the audience.
I think so
too. People, sometimes they see you like a rock star and actually it's the same. Like it's normal people just behind the camera.
Definitely.
Amazing. So last question that I ask all the creators. What would you recommend to other creators that want to start in the gastronomic niche that they haven't started and they want to do it? Like what would be your advice to them?
Just do it. Go out there. Pay for your meal, create content as though you're a content creator, literally fake it till you make it. You don't have to have millions of followers to start seeing not just deals, but opportunities. If you act like a content creator and you commit to it and do it on your own without immediately asking for freebies, you can build momentum. Learn from others, follow ones that you admire, take notes, adjust your plan, play around with content, do things that make you uncomfortable, and just try it. You literally have nothing to lose.
Dana, it's been great. I love this conversation.
Thank you.
We're going to leave Dana. Dana has really amazing tips here in Miami. So we're going to leave all her socials in the description. You can follow her.
Thank you.
See you in the next interview.